Hello, football family. Welcome into Huddle It Up Films, previewing the Week 3 game at Detroit with my friend Garnett, my friend Jake. Hopefully, you've seen the first 2 weeks. Man, we've been doing some good calls on this show, by the way. The four-man rush, we kind of predicted that. I remember going on about the RPO game and exposing Chris Jones on the edge. That happened. So if you were watching the first 2 weeks, you got a pretty good preview. Week 2, week 1, we were a little bit off with our projections, though. We must admit that. But yeah, last week we kind of nailed it, despite all the doom and gloom around town, and rightfully so. Some good calls by our crew, so I wanted to give you guys credit first off the bat. Jake, Garnett, how you guys doing?
Doing great.
Yeah, I'm doing excellent, man. I'm glad I'm with my boys, man, so I'm happy.
That's right. So look, this is a Detroit Lions preview show, but I can't start this show without getting your thoughts on the Kansas City game, just because it was such a big game. I will put a timestamp down there below if anybody wants to skip this part and get straight to Detroit. But Jake, I want to just let you guys take this away because I've given my thoughts on the game many times. So Jake and Garnett, please go back and forth. I'm going to start with Jake. What about this game, Jake?
Man, it was wild. It's so much fun seeing what Lamar Jackson can do. He is quite literally a superhero without a cape on the field. I mean, you know, you've heard all of the sound bites from previous years. He is Houdini, LaMarvelous, all of that ranged true after that Kansas City game. And I think the league's on notice if they weren't already.
Absolutely, man. Just to piggyback off of you, Lamar is something that you rarely see. You know, it's a once in a lifetime generational type of star that comes around, man. I'm just glad for him, and really just I'm glad for the coaching staff. Really, you know, the monkey's off everybody's back, off of Wink's back for being told that he pressures too much, off of G-Roll's back for the fact that he can't call a consistent game. You know, so. Yeah, I'm just happy for the team as a whole.
Absolutely. I mean, and you just mentioned the pass rush. Thankfully, Wink really dialed it back. Like, he was not himself in this game, and that was a good thing against the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to get into the game balls. I don't want to take the most obvious one on the defensive side of the ball just because it's been talked about so much. So I will go to a little bit of an unsung hero for my game ball on defense, Anthony Averett, a guy that's been put in the position right now of being the number 2 corner on the team, and he absolutely balled out. He wasn't perfect on the day, but he made plays when it counted, especially that third down to Tyreek Hill where he basically had a PBU, but I guess technically didn't touch the ball. Great incompletion, and it forced a punt when we really needed it.
Yeah, that's a good pick, man. My game ball for defense is going to go to Justin Matabuke. That man, like, literally, I don't know. I think I might have said. I hope I said the last episode. I got to rewatch it now. But I was just hoping that he showed up, and he showed up big time. I'm just wondering if, for all we know, that might have been Aaron Donald in that jersey because he damn sure looked like just how he was just wreaking havoc all the time back in the backfield.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I was surprised actually. And from his press conference, it sounds like he wants to play more. And yeah, I don't know if you guys picked that up, but he's like, yeah, I'm not tired. I could play all game. And Derek Wolf's out. And, you know, we deactivated Broderick Washington because, you know, the defensive line wasn't a big part of the game plan when you face KC. They're just not going to run the ball. So we went with extra. You know, I don't know where my game ball on defense go. I almost feel like I shouldn't give one because Adafio Way was obviously if we were going to go obvious, it was him. And it was a bunch of other guys filling in. But I do like the Averett and Metabike picks. They stand out. So, Garnett, what about anything else from this game, the offensive side? What do you like, buddy?
Oh, yeah. So, for the offensive side, I'm just going to go ahead and give my game ball out to the offense. To be honest with you, is Devin Duvernay. Because if it wasn't for Devin Duvernay, it might not have went as the way we thought it might. You know, just how it went. You know, I should just say Devin Duvernay with a head on the swivel, ball popped up. Instantly reacted, you know, no delay reaction, tuck it and win the end zone. But God knows we're thankful for that. That's one of the things that's really not been talked about a lot, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually heard a breakdown of that play from one of the Ravens guys on Twitter that kind of faulted him for not following through with the block. But either way, Excellent result that the Ravens ended up getting the touchdown. It should have been Tyson's, but Duvernay definitely saved the Ravens in that moment and gave us the momentum we needed. So for me, I'll go with Hollywood Brown. It's one of the obvious choices on offense for the game ball there because he is balling out. He is playing at an all-pro, Pro Bowl level, something that we have been waiting to see. We've seen in moments for sure. I just hope he can keep it up, stay healthy, get all the rest you need, buddy. But we need you back, and we need you playing pretty much every week.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mentioned that with Chris on my game review that, like, if he needs to not practice for a few weeks, go for it. Like,
yeah,
he's got that rapport with Lamar that I trust him. Like, the rest is more important to me than the practice reps. And we've seen Hollywood play through pain from his first year. So, yeah, we need a healthy Hollywood. Like, he's on the injury report, not practicing, but I'm almost not worried. It's almost like if you have a player like that, like, I feel like he's going to play and he just needs the rest. It's not an alarming thing like Derek Wolfe being on there and, he hasn't practiced since that Carolina. By the way, Garnett, maybe we need to do something with Derek Wolfe because ever since we watched that practice and he went down, we haven't seen him, man. So I don't know what kind of jinx we put on him, man, but we need Derek Wolfe back. How about I wanted to ask you guys start with Jake on this one. Just from a fan's perspective, like forget about the analyst. Take your analyst hat off. I mean, just from a Ravens perspective and like maybe a big picture perspective, how do you see this Kansas City game affecting the Ravens this season? And how did you enjoy the game, say?
Man, so I absolutely loved the game. Every single minute of it. I was a fan the whole time, not analyzing too much for sure. But this game is going to mean something at the end of the year. It's really weird because going into this season, I believe most Ravens fans could realistically see a 1-1 record after 2 weeks. This has been talked about before, and perhaps most people, maybe like us, definitely me, would think the Raiders game would be an easier win, and then the Chiefs is just a hump that we haven't gotten over. But it worked out in a different way, and perhaps it's better in the long run because I still have confidence that the Chiefs are going to be one of the strongest teams in the NFL, let alone the AFC. So that's going to mean something if there's a tiebreaker. It would be a head-to-head tiebreaker with the Ravens, and they would get the advantage in that seeding.
Right, and I'm right there with you on that. Like, I'm not going to say much because you really hit the nail on the head. My biggest thing is just really the seeding, and then just the momentum. Like, hopefully, it's when we play the Detroit Lions. It's not the what's the word that I always use? Like so you play a big game, you win a game, trap game. Hopefully, this is not a trap game. We just build off on it. Hopefully, we treat this Kansas City game like the Seattle game that we went on a run with 2 years ago, because players are not going to be at 100% during the whole season. There's no way. But the fact that we're going to be getting players back, which is going to play a critical role down the stretch.
Yeah, I thought it was just a big game for Lamar himself too. Like, he doesn't have anything to prove to me personally. People have these crazy expectations, but it must have felt good. And the teammates and the whole bonding thing is something I was talking about with Chris. It was just a bonding experience where things went wrong. Everybody made mistakes, but everybody picked themselves up. And, I love that from a fan's perspective. Also, strength of victory is somewhere down there in the tiebreakers. So, like, they look at the records of the teams you have beaten. If you're tied in the AFC, if you didn't play each other head to head. So if we're tied with pick out like the Patriots or some team that we're not going to play where there's no head to head between us, or if we're tied with three teams where head to head doesn't matter and they're looking at your AFC records and they're all tied, but maybe these teams beat the Raiders and lost to the Chiefs, that strength of victory can come into play as that second or third tiebreaker, depending on who you're tied with. So yeah, just a huge win. I've said pretty much everything you guys have said on that. But I guess we should move to the Lions. You guys ready? All right, we're back. A little bit technical difficulties. Apologize for that. Going into the Lions game, here we go. New coach, Dan Campbell, hard-nosed guy. You see it in the way they play. They're not a very talented or they don't ooze talent, but they play hard and they will stick with you, and it's something the Ravens got to watch and be on their game They're investing their team. I like the way they're building their team personally. Offensive line, defensive line, their cornerbacks, who are unfortunately for them injured and won't play. But I like the attitude. I like the way they're building the team. The problem with the major problem I see with this team, $50 million in dead cap space. 50. So out of about a $200 million cap, just for layman's terms, they're spending about a quarter of their money on players who are not on their team. And the most surprising part to me is only 19 of that, I say only 19, but only 19 out of the 50 is for Matt Stafford, which is the one I expected. So this team is playing short. They're not able to spend up to the cap with the rest of the teams. But I like the way that they're building this. Garnett, what do you think about the Lions as a whole? Just an overview of the team before we get specific.
I think it could be, depending on how they go about it, like how you said, if they keep on building the foundation, like how they're doing the offense and the defensive side of the ball in the trenches, it can be a quick turnaround for the Lions if you really think about it. It's just all about how they are. They got to believe in it. They got to believe in their process. The $50 million is pretty crazy, but the fact that we witnessed like the Saints somehow get out of it. At one point in time, Kansas City had like $7 left in their bank account at one point in time. So it's one of the things where they just got to figure out make a couple contracts disappear or make a couple contracts voidable or whatever, or how you want to do it. But like I think they're heading in the right direction. The coach. Everybody got to believe in the process, believe in the coach, believe in the front office, and I feel like everything can come together. What about you, Jake?
Hey, Jake, before you go in, I just wanted to make one point. That $50 million is going to be available next year. So if they wanted to, they're going to have they have money to pay any free agent that they want to next year. So they're taking it all on the chin this year. So I just want to clarify that before Jake started. Go ahead, Jake. Sorry about that, buddy.
No, you're good. Yeah, I mean, I think you guys both hit it on the head. This is a rebuilding team for sure, but I like their process so far. Everything that I hear about the Lions, what I've seen so far is that they are strong in the trenches, especially their offensive line, and that's where you should be building a team. They don't necessarily have the quarterback to get it done. We've seen Jared Goff do some nice things before on the Rams team with Sean McVay, of course, but building a strong offensive line and a strong defensive line is critical to the success of a football team. So they're on the right path, and next year will be a huge year for them when it comes to the draft and free agency to kind of revamp that entire roster.
Yeah, they really have. I mean, I like the way that they're going personally, and I think that it's just such a stark contrast between the Lions of the past that we know that we're just stuck in mediocrity at best, from mediocre team to a not so good team, where they were drafting wide receivers. I think they spent 3 top 10 picks in 3 straight years on a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Remember those days? It was like it took them 3 years to get Calvin Johnson, but eventually they got it right.
Right.
You look at how the New York Giants are being built with all these free agent wide receivers, and their line is terrible. So comparatively, and then when I look at the division, where Minnesota's kind of in an iffy situation, Green Bay, it doesn't look like Aaron Rodgers is going to come back there. Just reading between the lines, it looks like he's done with them after this year. There's a chance that this Lions team could get competitive as early as next year. And like I said, I spent last night just scouting them and watching their games. They play hard. They definitely play hard. So we're going to get into the position groups. We're going to go when the Ravens have the ball. So Ravens offensive line versus the Detroit Lions defensive line is the topic for this segment. Now, the Detroit Lions, just to give an overview, they have veteran Trey Flowers. A lot of people are familiar with him. They also have Michael Brockers, guy the Ravens took a look at a couple of years ago. Very strong player. They have Aleem McNeil, who's like their nose tackle, 3rd-round pick, I believe, out of NC State, a player that I liked a lot. I could have saw him taking over for Brandon Williams. And then they have a guy named Nick Williams, who is not a very good player. A big guy, though. It's just a big group overall. Not a lot of pressures and sacks, but a very stout group. So with that said, Garnett, I have you marked down for this, trying to be a little more organized this week. How do you see the Ravens' offensive line stacked up against Trey Flowers, Michael Brockers, Nick Williams, Aleem McNeil?
I think, if we don't, a lot of people, for what I've been seeing on social media, they wants to see us go back to like a ground and pound effort against them, which is not a problem. I just, for my opinion, everybody has a different view, and maybe somebody can switch my view after hitting a certain points. But, ground and pound effort. But when you got big guys like that, you want to create space. You want to, get them tired. And then that's when ground and pound them to death. But a Lee McNeil, that's a really good challenge to really for Bozeman and Bozeman and Lee McNeil. I can't wait to see that fight. I'm treating it like a UFC fight because that's what it's going to be. It's going to be dirty. It's right between those two. And then with Trey Flowers, depending on where they line him at, I think it's going to be 50-50 when it comes to having a success of stopping him, depending on what we do. But like I said before, like if we concentrate on the a fast up tempo offense, since they're all bigger dudes, I see we can slow them down when it comes to the rotation.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. The former Ravens great Michael Brockers is holding it up over there in Detroit. Thankfully, we got Calais Campbell. The results have been mixed, but I'm very happy that we have Calais. I only say mixed because of the injuries he's dealt with. Right. Aleem McNeil is somebody that I really liked a lot and is certainly powerful up the middle. But just like you, I think that battle between him and Bozeman, and then you can also put the guards in there, Zeitler and Cleveland, I hope. I'm wearing the jersey. But you know what? Powers has also played well, so I'm happy with those 3 guys or 4 guys, and I think it's gonna be a nice battle. I think spreading them out makes a ton of sense. Hollywood, if he's healthy and wants to go in this game, could have a huge one. Deebo Samuel went off against the Lions in Week 1, absolutely crushed it. And Devontae Adams had a really nice game too. Obviously, Adams is one of the best wide receivers in the game, but Hollywood is playing at a very high level. And without their top 2 corners, and frankly, those guys aren't that good to start with, this could be a game for not only Hollywood, but Sammy Watkins.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm going to stick with the line here for a second. And I think that, I do love the size of Detroit's line, but the thing is, with all the games that we play, now Brockers has seen this at least once that I can remember in that Rams game from 2019. But you saw how confused Chris Jones was on the edge on Sunday night. It was just like he was getting hit with this, he was getting hit with that, a right, a left. So instead of there's a lot of teams where I think we should just need to simplify it and just push them around up front. I think that it's actually set up for Greg Roman to be able to create against this team. Despite the bigger guys, just get them out of position, get them undisciplined, that kind of thing. But I think this is a good test, especially when I look at the Steelers, who traditionally have them big, strong defensive linemen in there all game. I'm excited to see how our bigger, stronger interior holds up against Detroit. And it kind of I'm not as worried about Max Crosby is not on this team. Von Miller is not on this team. So as far as our edges holding up with speed, I like it. I think that we're going to be okay. If I had to give an edge, I would give an edge to the Ravens in this game, which is surprising because the O-line is one of my main worries. But against this Detroit team, I think we match up pretty well just from a stylistic standpoint, I would say. Any last thoughts on the line, guys?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And you hit it on the head when I should have been more descriptive when I said space. But put those guys in space and make them react. Think more than react. So, and then, a couple RPOs here, or, options right there. That'll be perfect.
Yeah, agree with both of you guys. Greg Roman, his quote was something crazy. It was yesterday, I think. Possibly today, he had a presser, and he mentioned 30 plus different run plays against the Kansas City Chiefs, and he said he has a lot more of them than that. So
50 more.
Yeah, if he needs to bring something out against the Lions just to get these guys on their heels instead of on their toes, man. I mean, you're talking about the Ravens being able to pound the rock like they have been, and then also really get on top of them with their passing game too.
Right. So to expand on this, let's go to their linebacker crew. Now I guess we're going to start with Jamie Collins because that's just such a strange situation. He was on the field a lot. Coach Campbell didn't have very nice things to say about him. He said it in kind of a low-key way, but he was like, look, Alex Anzalone and these other guys are playing hard. So, basically saying Jamie Collins his heart wasn't into it. He's not practicing this week, not because he's injured, but because he's on the trade block. So with all that, I mean, it's kind of hard to see Jamie Collins playing this week. They also have, as I mentioned, Alex Anzalone. They have Romeo Okwara, replacement level players. They're not the fastest group. Their tackling was extremely spotty against the Green Bay Packers, the game that I watched last night. Detroit was decent against the run versus Green Bay. I think they held all their backs to under 4 yards per carry. But I could see them getting exposed versus this Ravens running game. So let's talk Ravens running game versus Lions run defense, starting with you, Jake. Ravens lead the league, by the way, 222 yards per game. What kind of running game do you see us having against these Lions?
It's going to be another strong effort by the Ravens. I imagine over 4 yards per carry. I saw the Packers-Lions game. I watched it in its entirety, not the all-22, but just live. And I was obviously super impressed with Aaron Jones as far as receiving. He had 4 touchdowns, saved me in one of my fantasy matchups. But to get into the running efforts, the Ravens do so much polling with their offensive linemen. They have so many different concepts that they implement. I think a guy like Tyson Williams is going to be able to break through as long as the coaching staff still has that faith in him with his ball security issues. And then also kind of in the back of my mind, I'm just thinking this is a Latavius Murray game too. He scares me from a fantasy football perspective because I don't want to start him over Tyson because I have both of those guys in a league. But I think either of those guys, both of those guys could have a huge game, and Lamar is going to do what he does. So I'm not scared about their linebackers one bit. Jamie Collins probably isn't going to play, as you mentioned. He's kind of on that trading block.
Yeah, with the Jamie Collins does this like literally everywhere he goes on each team. It's a weird thing. He goes somewhere that he really doesn't want to be, finds a way to get out of it, goes back to the Patriots, gets like an interception, goes in like little. It's a weird tradition that he has, man. But anyway, like with the linebacker Anzalone, he's actually, when he came out of Florida, he was a really good coverage linebacker. It's somewhat. Never really was a thumper. It was a solid sideline to sideline guy, but it wasn't a secure tackle. So, like, I'm a huge believer in Latavius Murray. I feel like he might have some old legs, but they're still fresh, I believe, because he's never been like the super featured back in his whole career, even coming from Oakland to Minnesota to
New Orleans.
Yeah. So if you think about it, he always so his legs are really actually somewhat fresh, just splitting time. So I just think we're gonna be good, man. Just obviously with Lamar being the RPO guy, it's gonna freeze the linebackers, have them on their heels, and then I believe Tyson Williams can maintain the ball. I just think that the fact that it's more of a mental thing more than, a physical aspect with him. He has all the capabilities to be great.
Yeah, I just want to add to this. I actually think this is a Tyson Williams type matchup because I think they want Lamar split in the middle on these guys. So I like seeing that, like as Ken calls it, the sidecar with Tyson or maybe even Devontae Freeman taking the outside option. And if not, you got Lamar Jackson versus these big defensive linemen and, linebackers who haven't been able to tackle. They're probably going to have to play a new guy in there. So I think this game is set up for Tyson. My fingers are crossed on this ball security issue because, coaches do not play. Harbaugh does not play with this. The Las Vegas game was a pure example. I mean, he fumbled out of bounds. Harbaugh, that was enough for him to be seen enough. We saw him fumble on the goal line where Duvernay bailed him out. So pass protection, we've seen some tough assignments that he's missed. So Tyson's still feeling his way into the NFL. I think he's going to be great. And then I wanted to ask you, I'm going to start with Jake still with this. Le'Veon Bell, could you see him get activated for this game? And how would you think that he would match up against this? Because I'm looking at their linebackers, I'm thinking a real pass catching. That's why I like Tyson in this game. A true pass catching back could really give these guys problems.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I am not sure that the team is ready to put him in the starting lineup, but it's not really because he can't do it. It's more about being in football shape, and perhaps he's had enough time. I would love to see it because he probably is our best pass-catching back on the team. Tyson is great. I think he has more juice in his legs at this point of his career for sure, but Le'Veon Bell has that, been in the league, vet savvy that Tyson doesn't have yet.
Yeah, with Le'Veon, since he had like a year off vacation, basically, well, a year and a half, I should say. I think he's fresh, but at the same time, though, listen, I don't know if he's in complete football shape. But also, I would love to see him. I think we talk about it so many times now, which I think, and I'm glad that we keep on going to bring this up. But him as a pass pro, pass protection, he's a good running back for that. Good, basically a hell of a receiver for a running back. Good hands. I would like to see. Hopefully, games like this. These games are trial and error games. So hopefully we start to be a little innovative when it comes to just seeing who can do what and utilize them for their specialties.
Yeah, it feels like we can, if Roman and the offensive line are clicking, and of course Lamar, I mean, it feels like we can not even afford, but we should mess with it a little bit, mix and match with these backs and see what we have, and ride the hot hand if possible, but just see where these backs fit into these 30-plus running plays that you call a game. That's insane, by the way. That's like, how can you remember all that? Like, man, no wonder the plays are like a mile long, because you're just got to be focusing on this one. And then the communication with Bozeman and Zeitler, it's just huge to have good, smart play like a Raven players on the offensive line. So going to the passing game. Now, this is the area I'll just state right off the bat that I expect an expansion for this game. I could see Lamar throwing for 300 yards in this game because the Lions, like I mentioned, they invested in their cornerbacks. They have Jeff Okota and, of course, Melanfanu, the guy I like coming out of Syracuse. Unfortunately, they're both hurt. Okuda's out for the year. I'm not sure about Melanfanu. Their top corner is Amani Oruwariye, who's a guy that I kind of like too, but he's a young player. You got no-name cornerbacks in there, and then their vet safeties, Tracy Walker, Will Harris, not bad players, but nothing special there. So how do you think that they match up? We mentioned that we expect Hollywood Brown to play. Hollywood Brown, Sammy Watkins. Could you see Prochet or Duvernay get more involved in this game? How do you see our passing game? And this is starting with Garnett on this one.
I think our passing game could be really we can really expand the playbook on those, and expand the playbook, and then utilize more than 3 receivers that we've seen for the past 2 games, because we know the ball only has went to Hollywood, Watkins, and Duvernay. No other receiver has been actually utilized or targeted, utilized to that standpoint. So I would like to see maybe Prochet the second in there, or Wallace or somebody different, like get them opportunities, because they're going to be playing a too high look from what I've seen in the Green Bay game. It was just nothing but a cover 2. And they just like, don't get beat deep. And then Aaron Rodgers just stay patient. And then a double move came out of nowhere, and boom, it's right over there. And we all know, Lamar ain't Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers ain't Lamar. And what's the problem? The problem they're going to do is have their eyes in the backfield, zoomed in on Lamar. And then guess what's going to happen? Somebody's going to be open. Maybe your guy, Prochet the second, might be wide open, and we not even know it.
Yep. Yeah, I completely agree. The sound bite that Jason put on Twitter was great. It was Dan Campbell, and he was talking about the philosophy going into this game. So this could be a bunch of coach speak. He's recorded here, so it might not be true at all. But he was talking about the safeties and how those guys are going to have to be concentrated on the backfield, in and around the play, perhaps in the box more. So that is going to give you some single high looks, maybe a few cover zero looks, and Lamar can absolutely take advantage of that. And Hollywood would be the obvious answer. Sammy Watkins is a clear answer as well. But then you get into those other guys. James Prochet could have a game. Devin Duvernay could have a game. And I would love to see Tylan Wallace get a little bit involved. But we kind of went into the Raiders game super pumped up and excited for a win. And I don't want to see the Ravens come out flat. And I hope that doesn't affect them coming off a really big win. So I don't want to see them try too much stuff if they're not in the lead. But I think we all expect this game to be one that the Ravens, especially with Lamar at the helm, to be able to, come out on the winning end.
Yeah, just one other note. Aaron Rodgers last week against these Lions, 4 touchdown passes, 5 incompleted passes. So you even talk about some kind of ratio. This is where I want to see, yes, of course, stick with your runs, do your thing with the running game. But I would love to see us get an opportunity to try to spread the ball out, like you guys say. Man, get Hollywood off his feet a little bit. Let Tylan Wallace have he don't even need to be targeted. Let him run the routes while he targets Sammy or Andrews or wherever else. Andrews on these safeties, by the way, I think is a great matchup. Oftentimes we kind of skip over the tight ends in this situation, but not for this game as we switch it over to the other side of the ball, because that's Detroit's main weapon. So any other last thoughts on the offense before we switch it over to the Ravens defense?
Yeah, no. Go ahead.
Yeah, so for me, you just hit on it. I do project Mark Andrews to have a breakout game in this season. Everybody knows who he is, but he hasn't had a great output yet. This could be the one, especially if those safeties are just keeping their eyes in the backfield. Watch out for the play action. Watch out for the read fakes and stuff like that, because Andrews is going to be at that second level, and he can take one to the house.
Oh, I'm glad you said it. I almost forgot what I was about to say. Forgot about my guy. I think Oliver's going to score 2 touchdowns. I don't know how, I don't know where, but it's going to happen. Red zone, cool. Or I just think we're going to do bring back the old faithful 22 personnel and actually try to pass out of it a little bit. I think that's coming.
Yeah, a million ways to slice it with Greg Roman. I mean, for all the frustration he's caused us over the years, I mean, it is pretty fun to like the different personnel formations and the way he trades in and out. I can't wait to get Nick Boyle back, by the way. That's just going to be huge for this team.
Right.
Flipping it over to the other side of the ball, we have Penei Sewell, obviously, with Taylor Decker out. He's moved to left tackle. I think fans know about him. A top pick in this draft, first round. He's played well at left tackle. They have a second-year player, Jonah Jackson, who was picked in the third round. Kind of like him, he's a big, again, with the theme with the Lions. They seem to like big linemen on both sides of the ball like the Ravens do.
Right.
Frank Ragnall, their center, one of the best in the game. Vaitai, former tackle, moved to right guard. It's kind of a weak spot for them. I don't know how he looks at guard. He was kind of beaten, and that really on that right side, Matt Nelson, undrafted free agent, second-year player at right tackle. So it looks like they kind of get weaker on their right side. And we talk about Adafio Way moving around this formation, like Adafio Way versus Matt Nelson is like got me licking my chops. And then, of course, we have Justin Houston. Looks like Derek Wolfe, of course, is going to be out for sure. Brandon Williams back at practice. Matabike looking strong. Broderick Washington inactive last game, but against a team like the Lions, you wouldn't expect them to be. So let's see. We are starting with Jake on this. Lions offensive line versus Ravens defensive front. How do you see this playing out?
Yeah, so we mentioned it at the top of the show. This offensive line for Detroit is really solid. They move people in the run game. They've been pretty solid in pass protection too, especially with the play action that they have. With that strong running game comes a good play action if you have a nice play caller. And Jared Goff has been really solid in the play action game. So I'm kind of predicting the oddball thing here where Penei Sewell has been an elite tackle since his collegiate days. So far, he has not allowed a sack, maybe not a pressure in his first 2 NFL games, but I think either Owe or Justin Houston gets one on him in this game. And then, of course, that right side, as you mentioned, looks weaker than the left. So I expect those guys to be moving around, seeing what works against each tackle, kind of like what the Raiders did to us, unfortunately, in week 1.
Yeah, you hit around the money when it comes to that part. I think what I would like to see, or I think what's going to happen, is the interior play it doesn't go away. I think Matabuke, he continues his slaying. I would love you hit it. Also, Jason, when you said Bradford Washington coming up to the starting rotation, from what I seen during the whole camp in the preseason game, and then even through all preseason, is he has a rocket up. He has a rocket up his ass when he comes off the line. It is awesome, super violent, and he's controlled now. Last year it was just shoot through and then don't know what you're doing, then you get called in the mix, the mix. But now it's like he understands where he needs to be when he takes a shot. So I'm hoping that he comes up. But I feel like Matabuke and Calais Campbell, they're going to wreak havoc in the middle, which is going to cause just pressure for Jared Goff, which is one of the worst quarterbacks when you have pressure on him.
Yeah, I like this matchup for the Ravens just because I feel like a bigger group is what we're used to practicing against.
Right.
I like the speed. Like we have better speed than them, and I would like to see us exploit that with stunts, twists, all these games. We could still bring a 4-man rush if we wanted and beat these guys straight up, I believe, especially on that right side when you're talking about communication. I mean, it's a lot on their center, Frank Ragnow. Moving to the running backs, Garnett, let's just speak to this running game now. This is the strength of the Lions. They have, of course, DeAndre Swift. They have Jamal Williams, 2 very good backs, 2 backs that can catch it out of the backfield too, which is something that me personally, I'm a little, I think that's an advantage for Detroit versus our linebackers, Patrick Queen, Malik Harrison. Of course, you'll see Chuck Clark in the box a lot. Deshaun Elliott, by the way, still concussed. It doesn't look like he's going to play. Which is going to hurt our run defense. We saw Brandon Stevens miss some pretty bad tackles last week. So how do you see, can Detroit's, Garnett, starting with you, can you see Detroit's running backs having a big game and kind of blowing this up for the Ravens?
I see it more of them having a big game, catching balls out the backfield, more than just going between the tackles or zone runs or whatever. It's just that's the only way I think it would be a problem for us, to be honest with you, because Patrick Queen thrives in games like this. If you tell him, hey, all you got to just go downhill and hunt, he's going to be very successful. Same thing when it comes to Malik Harrison. God, if Malik Harrison can catch you in a gap clean, you might as well say it's over, man. And I wish they made a switch, to be honest with you, between him and Harrison. I'd rather see Malik as the Mike, just a downhill guy, and then just let Queen be the rover, basically, the sideline guy more than anything.
Yeah, I agree with that. To me, the Lions might have a little bit of success running the ball. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. I know DeAndre Swift pretty well as he went to Georgia. That's my college, so go Dogs. But we're talking about a speed back, and not just in the sense like he's a gadget player. He is a number 1 running back on a team, and he has legit speed. Not quite Jonathan Taylor speed, but faster than most guys out there. So you have to watch out for him in the receiving game. Same with Jamal Williams, although they kind of they mention him as more of the thumper, the guy that gets all the dirty work done. So watch out for him in the short yardage situations. They might kind of switch them back and forth interchangeably, but Williams is known as the goal line guy, and Swift is a do-it-everything, really nice pass catcher running back.
Yeah, both hit it on the head there. That's what I saw from Jamal Williams. It's 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, goal line. They're going to go with the straight ahead, kind of like how we used Murray these first couple of weeks,
Right.
the veteran back, and then they let Swift eat between the 20s out of the
Mhm.
backfield. Big game for Patrick Queen. This is like, for me, it's a test for these upcoming Cleveland games that are going to be so crucial towards the end of the year, and other teams that can run the ball. But Cleveland sticks out as our one foe that we're going to have to play twice that can really run the heck out of the ball. So yeah, I think that the Lions could have success against us in the running game. The passing game, though, that's a different story. They have basically 3 players that they play a lot, which is Quintez Cephas, young player out of the draft, a big guy. Think about a big possession. Anquan Bolden, like receiver. I think he ran a 4.73, which just completely knocked him down and off a lot of draft boards. But a big physical receiver. They have Khalif Raymond, the opposite, your quick slot guy. And then their do-it-all back, Amon-Ra wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown. He can do a little bit of everything. Player that I like, Tyrell Williams. He's one of those guys on the dead money. He's hurt. So that kind of hurts them. We're supposed to be a deep threat and stretch the field. So this is Garnett. Garnett, how do you think they match up with Marlon Humphrey, Anthony Averett, and then, of course, Deshaun Elliott looks like he's going to miss this game.
I think we're going to match up pretty fine. I think Marlon Humphrey, he owes Khalid Raymond. I don't know if you guys remember, he used to be with the Tennessee Titans, and he's the guy that burnt Marlon on the play. So I think Marlon owes him a fruit punch. But anyway, just to be funny. But so when it comes to, I think we're going to be good. Like I'm not trying to make fun of him. I like Quintez Cephas. Actually, he's a dog. I give him that.
He's tough. Yeah, he's a tough guy.
Tough.
Yeah, he's tough.
He's tough. And then Arona St. Brown, he's the same way. But there's nothing to be scared of. I'm not saying take them lightly, but at the same time, though, I'm not thinking like, oh man, they're gonna catch us. The only person I'm thinking I'm scared. To be honest with you, I'll be scared of is a Khalid Raymond, just because of the play action standpoint and how he's a burner. He is a legitimate burner. Other than that, I'm not worried. I'm really not.
Agreed with that. This receiving group is nothing special as of right now. Cephas is a physical X-receiver. That's kind of what Tyrell Williams was supposed to be for them as well. Of course, he wins on the big, those big ball, jump ball, contested catch situations, kind of like Mike Williams. It's just a coincidence that they're both Williams out in LA with the Chargers. But Khalif is really fast, like Garnett is mentioning, and Amon-Ra St. Brown was one of my favorite wide receivers in this draft class. He just hasn't produced yet. I don't think it's going to be this year for him, but he is a shifty player, can do things out of the slot and out wide, but I'm not scared of this group. In my opinion, if Marlon Humphrey is healthy, perhaps you don't even use him on any of these receivers, and you're talking about matching up with the guy in Detroit as we move on to the tight ends, TJ Hawkinson.
Take it over, Jake, because there's not much mystery or set up to this. TJ Hawkinson is by far their best weapon. The Ravens get another test. How do we cover Hawkinson? Go ahead, Jake. Start us off on this one, and we'll go back and forth a couple of times if you guys have more to add.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So there's definitely going to be a mixture of things. The Ravens don't tend to play man all game. They're not going to play zone all game. But the best matchup player when he's healthy is Marlon Humphrey, no doubt. Jimmy Smith will be very interesting to see if he's playing. They didn't put him on IR, so he's been practicing, and that would be a nice player to have on the field, especially with the injuries we've had. Deshaun Elliott being out of the game, that just gives you some depth. As well, you can get into the other groups. Anthony Averett is going to cover one of their better receivers, either Cephas or Raymond. Raymond has the speed. Averett is a former track star, so perhaps that's the matchup there.
Yes, sir.
I'll let you cover the tight end there.
Yeah, Hawkinson, that man. I know Ravens flock might hate me for this, but that's TE4 to me, man. It's just the fact that you ask so much of a guy that knows he's going to be double cover, bracketed, triple cover sometimes, and you still produce like that. That's insane, man. And you're doing it literally with no help. The whole offense is on your back, the passing offense wise. I just think hopefully we don't, put our linebackers on them. If we do, like, hopefully it's like a redemption for them, but I hope we don't do that. Yeah, Marlon on him, that would be perfect. But at the same time, though, I would like to see Bowser on him. That would really blew my mind last game and the week before that as well. Bowser is like the best coverage linebacker, and he's actually pretty fast. He's super athletic, super fast, can do everything. But we don't use him as we thought we would, or as I thought he would be used. But yeah, that I would like to see him on him. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was going to say that's been my out of the box idea here. If you guys have heard me say this, to just use Dalen Hayes away Houston on the edges and let Tyus Bowser cover man to man, not drop into the zone and do that thing. I want to see Bowser take some ownership of that underneath. You saw us over under Kelsey a lot, over under Waller a lot. Let Bowser be that underneath second level guy. Put a safety over top of Hawkinson. That would be how I would do it. I would kind of want to see Marlon stick on somebody like Cephas or Amon-Ra St. Brown and have Averett on Raymond a lot, just as Jake mentioned, the speed for speed. But go ahead, Jake. I didn't mean to interrupt you there, buddy.
No, you hit that on the head, man. I agree with what you're saying for sure. Another option for Hawkinson, as we didn't really get into it, are the safeties. Perhaps Chuck Clark could be that guy. We've seen him cover tight ends here and there, pretty much every game, and he does a pretty good job. He started out that first game against the Raiders really strong. That first series looked good, and then they kind of went away from him a little bit. But clearly, the best option would be our top cover guy for their top receiver. So it just depends on health, but. Don't expect the Ravens to do one vanilla thing the whole game. They're going to mix it up. I love the Bowser idea. My only question would be how comfortable he is further down the field. As you get to that second level, that third level, is he good tracking, running stride for stride? I know he has the athleticism. Is he comfortable with that, trying to take on a tight end of Hawkinson's caliber? So that would be my question mark. Clearly, Bowser has those elite hands. It'd be great to see him nab an interception in this one.
So, Garnett, wanted to ask you about Wink specifically. Now, last week, we just gave him props in the Chiefs segment for taking his foot, coming out of his personality, playing. Do you think on this game we get back to blitzing the heck out of Jared Goff? What do you bet defensive game plan?
Oh, man. I think we don't do – I think Wink is going to be – I think he's going to be digging in his old school Rex Ryan back where you just don't know what the hell you're going to get. And I'm hoping it sticks with that. This is like after the KC game, it gave him an unknown identity to a point where literally if he stays like this, it's perfect. Like I want to see a couple blitzes here, or you trust Adafe Owe winning, you trust Houston winning, you trust Matabuke winning. It's one of the things. It's all about disguising. And the one thing I remember Ray Lewis was talking about the week one is like you don't want to come out and like just show your hand right away. And I think Wink from that game that we saw in Kansas City, it's job well done. And I think it's going to just continue of the unknown. I hope.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel that 100%. I somewhat expect a half Wink in this one, if you will. Typical Wink. He is blitzing a ton of times. Similar to the Steelers in the amount of blitzes he sends. I think this is a dial back game from that. But I love what Garnett you just said, referencing just that uncertainty, the mystery, the unknown of what he might do in this game. And initially, you think back to the Rams game in 2019, and the Ravens absolutely destroyed Jared Goff and the Rams offense. And a big part of that was Wink and his, elaborate defense, the disguises and stuff that I don't think Goff's going to be able to handle.
Yeah, like I'm actually on the opposite. So this is cool. Like. We got Garnett going with the Chiefs game plan. We got Jake with a half Wink. I feel like this is a full Wink. full on wink. I don't know why. I feel like it's like, well, family show. So let's say you love ice cream, so and we didn't get to eat ice cream yesterday because whatever the circumstances, we had to stay disciplined in our diet. Well, now today's our day to eat ice cream. We're eating a full gallon of this stuff. We're gonna eat the whole thing. Like I kind of feel that coming. Like plus the fact that Detroit doesn't have the outside weapons. Like maybe this is where Wink plays around, see how Anthony Averett does on an island like Marcus Peters. So we heard the argument for all three there. So that was great for the show to do that. So we got something new this week. Thank you so much, Garnett. I'm going to let Garnett take this over and kind of host. And he has our HuddleBox questions from people. Let's how would you phrase it, Garnett? Take it over.
Yes,
man.
sir. So this is the Huddle box that we came up with all together. So all you do is just go on Twitter and you type in a question. You just make sure you hit the hashtag HuddleBox. Hashtag HUDDLEBOX, man. Just in case some of you guys are having a hard time spelling out there. So you just put that on there after your question. We'll get to it. We'll try to retweet it so all three of us make sure we'll catch it. And then what we'll do, we'll put in our little questionnaire, and then we'll go from there. Just like my guy, Eric G. Clark, he has a lengthy one, but I'll see if I can get through it without messing this up. So his first question was the obvious question. I guess we might already answer this. What are we going to do about Hawk, a.k.a. Hawkinson? And that's the first part. And then what I'll do, I'll break it up because it's a lengthy one, and we'll just, if we already answered it or you want to rephrase what we said before, go ahead. And then the thing we said with Adams and Debo both going off against the Lions, do you expect a big game from Hollywood? So, yeah, I'm just going to break it up. It's literally, I would say, about 4 questions in this one paragraph. So the first one, I'll just go back to what were you guys think we're going to do about Hawk?
Yeah, so I think we covered it pretty well already. It's going to be a mixture of coverages. We are going to do our best to lock up their best player. Simple.
I think we're going to see Marlon on him some, maybe Brandon Stevens on him some, and I think we're going to mix it up. Maybe if he gets too close to the line, you can see our outside linebackers chipping him. I see a lot of people saying, well, why aren't you chipping him more? Why aren't you chipping him more? Well, if he gets too far out in that slot, it's impossible to chip him and then still handle your edge responsibilities. So I say with their best player, Wink does what he usually does, which is mix it up on them, try to find the mix and match. Maybe third down, Marlon takes them. Maybe in the early downs, we kind of over-under them like we did with Waller.
Awesome. And I'll get with the second part of this question. With Adams and Debo both going off against the Lions, do you expect a big game from Hollywood? I'll start off with you, Jason, this time.
Sure, I do if Hollywood's healthy. If this is a competitive game throughout, I expect it to be a 100-yard game for Hollywood. I think Garnett you predict 2 touchdowns from Hollywood? I could definitely see that. This game is set up beautifully for Hollywood without the Lions having a true number 1 quarterback, or really their number 2 cornerbacks out for the game too. So they're without their. We're upset that we're missing Peters. They're missing their Marlon Humphrey and their Peters. Big game for Hollywood. How about you, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, you're spot on. If he's playing, if he's healthy, and if he plays the whole game, aka it's a competitive game, I agree. Hollywood goes for over 100, probably a touchdown, maybe 2.
Awesome. I concur with both of you guys on that. And the third part of this question, Lions seem to be or it might not be it is a question. Never mind. Lions seem to be a better at stopping the run. What do they do different in Green Bay, and will it work versus the Ravens?
Dude, I think it's a personnel issue in Green Bay. I think that their running game is taking a step back. They're missing David Bakhtiari. It's just a downgrade across their line. I think Greg Roman and the leading rushing team, without J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, by the way, 60 yards ahead per game of the next to the next team. The Lions did do a good job. They are a tough team. They're going to be missing Jamie Collins in this game, which is one less veteran to be able to stay in their lanes and stay disciplined. I think that we're going to catch Detroit in this game. I mentioned earlier, I could see Lamar breaking one of those 50-yard runs up the middle on that inverted option this week. How about you, Jake?
You nailed it for me. I don't think I need to add anything to that one.
Okay.
All right. So got another question from Eric G. Clark to continue on. Sewell has played well at left tackle. What problems can he give Oweh in the pass rush?
Yeah, so I guess I'll go first on this one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he's been stellar. He's a rookie, played 2 games so far. I don't think he's played the toughest competition, although the Lions did play the 49ers. So that is a good defensive lineup there, and they have some pass rushers. So perhaps he just is that dude. But I predicted it earlier. I think Oweh or Houston gets a sack against Sewell. You know, things are meant to be broken at some point. These records, he hasn't allowed a sack since 2018. Obviously, he didn't play for a year, but that's still really impressive. I think that changes this week, and we're also going to get pressure elsewhere on their offensive line.
Yeah, for Sewell specifically, I expect us to test him with the blitz. Between him and Jonah Williams at left guard, you have 2 inexperienced players. I could see that being the spot on the line where we blitz. And since they're weak on the right side of their line, I could see that as a place where we just rely on one-on-one matchups. So if the Ravens bring the blitz, I expect it to be at Penei Sewell. Instead of trying to beat him one-on-one, why? Let's beat the right tackle one-on-one. Let's throw a lot at Penei Sewell and see how he handles a Ravens blitz in just his 3rd game. 20 years old, the youngest player in the league, by the way. It's a big ask to if Wink throws out the kitchen sink in that direction, that's a lot to ask, no matter how talented physically he is.
Absolutely. And the other question is, golf has been better than expected. Do we go? Well, we already answered this, but get ready for it. Did we go back to our blitz-heavy disguise scheme? Or is it the Patrick Mahomes layered rush a defensive staple moving forward with the DBs injured?
I think that we just answered this before,
Right.
but I'm just gonna recap it. Garnett, it was great because we all 3 have different opinions on this.
Mm-hmm.
Garnett would like to see us stick with more of a KC game plan because that this is going to be a year-long problem without Marcus Peters, that we're going to have to really develop this four-man rush and stick with the KC defensive game plan. Jake sees what he called a half wink, which I loved, where he's going to stick mostly with the 4-man rush, but mix in the blitzes a little bit more than he did at KC. And I'm on the other end. I think Wink denied himself and stayed disciplined last week. I could see a ton of blitzes coming from Penei Sewell's direction, considering the Lions don't have a lot of talent at the wide receiver position. Most of their talent's at tight end. Keep pockets and in the block as much as you can by throwing a lot of rushes at this Lions team. So 3 different answers for you there. Hopefully you can pick the one that you like, or maybe you can see all 3 of our points, because I think all 3 of us have great points on that.
Yes, sir. And I'm just going to move with the next question on that one. Mr. Duran, I'm not going to butcher his first name. I don't know if it's McGee. I'm sorry, brother. But Mr. Duran, here is his question: How to work with the Lions' heavy scheme they showed in the office with the Ravens D line struggling with injuries, and then he brought up Wolf and B. Will, back injury for Wolf, neck injury for B. Will. But yeah, that's the question, guys. Jason, my bad. Who went first last time?
Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah. So it looked like Brandon Williams was at practice today. So there is optimism that he is playing in this game, especially with that strong offensive line and the way they like to run the ball. It would be good to have him next to Calais Campbell. I will also mention with Broderick Washington sitting out last week, I could see him easily being in this matchup, helping out against their running schemes in that heavy front that you're mentioning. So I think the D-line will be okay.
Yeah, Mickey Duran, I actually think the Lions are going to have success running the ball in this game. It's just, for me, I don't think it's going to be enough for them to keep up with the Ravens. the Ravens offense. But yes, I mean they're a big offensive line. They know who they are. We saw that against Green Bay. They just want to kind of pound the rock. They don't want to. They want to have their guys moving forward. They're going to commit to that run. I believe they have two very talented backs, which are different styles. This isn't part of the question, but I could see them using their backs in the passing game to kind of keep us off balance. And this, to me, is a great test for Mr. Patrick Queen himself. He needs to be physical in this game. He needs to shed blocks. He needs to get downhill, and while still keeping his eye on DeAndre Swift, especially in this screen game. So a lot of pressure on Patrick Queen. I believe that if you ask me, Patrick Queen is going to be around in this game. 10 tackles are up because that's their style, man. They're going to test our middle linebackers. So big hit from Malik mixed in there, blowing up some blocks. Big hit from Malik. Patrick Queen 10 tackle game. That's kind of how I see it. Lions, I think, have a little bit of success running the ball in this game.
Right. And with that being said, since, like, to be honest with you, Duran's question and at Ravens fan 86, they're both their questions correlate together. I'm just gonna read the first part because we already just discussed about the rest. Would it make sense for Broderick Washington to have more snaps in these games since having only Williams and Ellis as the two nose guards?
Yeah, and this is Mike. This is my buddy Mike, who's been on the show before. So, Mike, thanks for the question, man. And yes, Broderick Washington will be active for this game. I would be shocked if he wasn't. I think the reason that he wasn't against KC is because they don't run the ball. If anything, we're going to need those sub rushers, the extra outside linebackers. So in this game specifically, I think Broderick Washington plays, and he could play a ton. I mean, he's really good against the run. Brandon Williams is banged up. You're going to see Justin Ellis in this game, I would imagine, a lot. Broderick Washington's going to play a role. I think he can handle these big guards physically because if you know anything about Broderick, it's his strength is just superhuman. And Garnett mentioned earlier in the show the way he's coming out off the ball with a rocket up as you know what. So, man, big game for Broderick, Mike. I expect him to play 20 snaps at least.
Boom.
Jake?
Yeah, you nailed it. I don't think there's really much to add. I'm excited to see what Washington can do in his second year. So yeah.
So Garnett, thank you so much for the HuddleBox. Do you have any overall thoughts on those questions? Anything you want to touch on from anybody?
Yeah, no, I really don't. I think we all said what we had to say during the show, and also you guys killed it. Rocket. And I just want to say thank you guys for putting those questions out there. Like I said, man, I'm going to, every time before, literally after the show, I'm going to try to post that out there. We're all going to try to put our hand in it. And especially after a game, we're going to ask for more of those questions. So please keep on doing that. Thank you guys, and we love y'all.
Love y'all. Yeah. So, hey, final thoughts on the game. Garnett, we'll go with you since you were quiet there for wow, I kind of missed your voice, I'll be honest. So final thoughts on this game, Garnett. Go ahead and wrap this. What are you expecting? What do you want to see? What do you expect to happen? Score predictions? I mean, this is a freestyle, brother. So go ahead.
All right, so I'm going to do my daily, my regular approach how I do. So we get, let's say we get ball, step on the field. We're going to come out with the 22 personnel just to show them that, hey, we can flex on you a little bit. Then we'll up-tempo a little bit. Then next thing you know, hopefully – my boy Josh Oliver gets a touchdown. Defense comes on the field. Put Jared Goff in like the worst mind frame ever. Just have him panicking. The one thing that I want to say about Detroit, they're a half a team. Like they're literally they don't never play a full game. It's weird. They start off strong or they finish strong, or it's vice versa. So if we can just stop them and don't let them get momentum in any type of way, I think we got it in the bag.
Yeah, I see it similarly. They are a team with fight, so we can't play light against them. We have to have the right mentality. When I say we, I'm talking about the Ravens. I'm not on the team. I'm just a fan. But the guys have to go in firing on all cylinders and be ready for a 60-minute football game, because the Lions will try to claw and fight to get back in the game, as we saw in the 49ers game where they covered they covered that point spread. And then we saw the first half against the Packers. So I don't really want to do predictions all the time. I do that on other podcasts, but I saw a lot of symmetry between the Monday night game, Packers versus the Lions, as what I predict the Ravens-Lions game to be. Something similar to that score. The Ravens can definitely win this one.
I see it. Yeah, I see it that way, Jake. I'd see it being a close game at first, as Garnett mentioned. They're having a hard time putting together their full game plan, and I think they're just a little outmanned. I mean, we mentioned at the very beginning, $50 million in dead money, and then you add to that, your two cornerbacks are out. So I like the fight in this Detroit team. I could see them, getting out to a good start, running the ball, maybe scoring the first touchdown. Maybe the Ravens start slow, turn over the ball. Things could be going bad for the Ravens, but in the end, this is a game I expect the Ravens to control. And what I'm hoping for in this game is that this is one of those games where Lamar is on from start to finish, and we can get some of these guys rested. We can try out some of our new guys. I want a nice big win. I want a big win for the Ravens. I want to get greedy here. A win at all costs. Don't get me wrong. I'm trying to win the game first, taking it possession by possession. I'll be into it. But, man, what a luxury would this be if we could be ahead, have Tylan Wallace get his touches, have Broderick Washington just pick up a bunch of slack. Let's throw the ball to Duvernay and Prochet, see what they have. Like Josh Oliver, you mentioned, Devontae Freeman or whoever the third back is. Let's get everybody involved here and try to find a role for them, because there's going to be games coming up where we're going to need one of those guys or more than one of those guys, or another injury happens. So come on, Ravens, do not let down from your Kansas City game. Play at the level you played for that last 3 quarters, the whole game. Keep your foot on the gas. And let's not just be satisfied with a win. Let's try to dominate every position, every down. That's the mindset of a champion, and I want to see the Ravens. Talent-wise, I think we're fine. We match up good against the Detroit Lions. Let's play like it, though. Let's play like it and play our great game and not worry about who we're playing.
Yes, sir.
100%.
All right, well, hey, football family out there, thank you for sticking with us. A little extra long today, but we had to go over and give our thoughts on that Kansas City epic thriller. I'll have some timestamps down there to help the viewers out so you can skip along. I know long videos don't go over real well. I'm going to add those timestamps. I'll probably, when we tweet it out, we'll have those included. So, Garnett, Jake, just great job. Thanks for the HuddleBox questions, taking care of that. That was just awesome. Thank you to Eric, Miggy, and Mike for asking the questions. We hope to do that and build on that. Hey, man, maybe we'll get it big enough to where we just make a separate video of questions. That would be great, man.
Yes, sir.
So, hey, from me to you, my family to yours, thanking Jake, thanking Garnett, thanking my football family. I love you all. Say goodbye, fellas.
Peace.
See you guys.